All right, jabrones. Well, this is a, sorry, let me get this adjusted. Okay. This is a bit of a follow-up video to the poor man's way to get rich, which is a guaranteed method, works every time, I promise you. But this is going to be a video about kind of how to advance your career and negotiate raises kind of at the same time. And so, in advancing your career, a big part of that is negotiating raises. You need to be willing to leave jobs. I don't recommend changing every 6 months. I think you need to put in a year to 2 years minimum in every job you go to. But after about a year, if they're not coming at you, throwing you raises and bonuses, and you're not able to negotiate a raise, you need to be willing to go. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to kind of give you the roadmap. And this is probably, I think this would apply to most trades or careers, but like certainly this is the way it works in the blue collar world, okay? So the first thing you got to do is put your coffee down. Okay, so first thing is establish a trend. Okay, establish a trend. So what I mean by that is, every time we need someone to come in on Saturday, you're the guy. Every time something hard's got to be done, you're the guy. Never call in, never be late, and establish a trend of like reliability and that you care, okay? Because everybody has a brand, right? Like, and I'm not trying to sound like some sort of marketing douchebag, but you have a brand, and what your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room, okay? So if all your bosses, when you're not in the room, are like, hey man, let's say your name's Johnny. Say, hey, Johnny, dude, that dude's reliable. You ask him if he can work Saturday, he's there. You ask that dude if it's done, the only thing you hear out of him is yes sir, and it's finished. And that becomes your brand. You're known as reliable, trusty Rusty. So you got to establish a trend. It doesn't happen overnight, right? And a common thing, thought process amongst managers is that you don't know what you got from an employee until 6 months, right? And I've seen that. I've seen guys come in and for 6 months kick ass and do really good, right? But then they get a little more comfortable and they start to get to be a little more prima donnas, and you start to see who they really are, And so it does take a little bit of time. So that's why I say you've got to establish that trend, let it be long term. So after 6 months to a year, if you've shown that, hey, I'm a badass, it's time to start negotiating for a raise. Like, that's really important. Okay, so then, that's step one. Establish a trend. Step two, is understand the mission. No jokes about my bald spot, boys. Okay, understand the mission. So this is a complicated one. This is one that I think a lot of people, I can explain this to you, but there's going to be a lot of people that watch this, if a lot of people watch this, there's going to be people who watch this that aren't going to be able to really accomplish this. Okay, so what I mean by understand the mission is understand the long-term goal. Understand why you're doing things. What are we trying to get accomplished, right? And then once you truly get the mission, right? Because there's been so many times in my life where I wasn't really thinking about what we're trying to do, and I was just thinking about the one little task I was doing rather than the big picture, And so, fully try to, and the best way to truly understand the mission is for all your coworkers and peers to understand what they need to do. What is the challenges they're facing. So, if you've got a boss and you can see where things are difficult for him or her, that's a good way for you to display that you understand the mission, right? You can see the problems that we're facing, you're trying to solve them. You can see you understand that big picture, because a lot of people just don't get it. I try to explain to them and they just don't understand the mission, right? And the best way to do that is to ask. And another good way to do that, and this ties into getting raises, is ask for metrics, right? Be kind of pushy. It's a good thing to be, you want to be pushy. You want to be assertive. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. If there ain't no problem, nobody's going to come fix it. And I've told a lot of guys this, that no one ever fought for a raise for me except for me. No one ever came in and pounded the table and said hey, we need to fucking move Corey up. He's got to get more money. No one ever did that. I had to do it every time. All right, getting messages and phone calls. I had to do that myself every time, and no one's going to do it for you. Why would Now, I do for my company, but that's because I'm small. My guys are tied to me. I'm trying to advance their career, but you can't expect that. And I told them they can't expect that. And I told them that, like, if they don't think that I'm moving them up fast enough, I'm paying them well enough, like, to ask me for metrics. And what do I mean by metrics is, like, what do you think I need to do better in order to get more money? You know, so that's something you can be doing up front while you're establishing that trend, right? And so if you say, hey, like, what would it take for me? I gotta take this. Okay, sorry. Obviously busy, still running a business. Okay, so asking for metrics. What I mean by that is asking your boss to explain to you what you can do better to earn a raise, to justify you making more money, okay? So a lot of times that's gonna fall under independence, right? So if you understand the mission, you can work independently. The more you can do without me having to oversee you, the more revenue you can generate, right? And so, you know, that's understanding the mission is going to lead to more money for the company, which is going to lead to more money for you. So that is a very big step. Step 2, understand the mission. And then step 3, this is where everybody falls short, okay? Everybody falls short when it comes to step 3, and that is nut up, okay? People are afraid to talk about money. People are afraid to ask for money. This is the part where I excel. This is my favorite part of like being employed, was negotiating for raises. This was I loved it. I'd walk into the room and I'd smack my meat on the table and say, like, there's been 2 negotiations I've had where I went and like job looking beforehand, and so I knew how much I could get on the market and what people were offering me, and I walked into that office knowing I'm making at least this much when I walk out this fucking door, okay? So you cannot be scared. Know your value. That's part of nutting up too. Is like, so if you've spent that time establishing a trend, you know the sacrifices you've made to build that reputation. You know it. You have taken the time to understand the mission and make sure that what you're doing is productive to everybody, to try to build independence, to try to, you know, to by understanding the mission and being reliable, you're going to create more revenue. And right, and the biggest thing of all, is if you make more money, you make more money. That sounds stupid. That sounds so dumb, but it's really like some people are like, well, I've been here a year, I should get a raise. I've been here 2. I don't give a shit. Somebody can come into my company and have been here 6 months and out earn everybody. If you come in here and you just start blowing it away, and every job you're doing, I'm getting 60% gross margins, I'm gonna hook you up. I just gave one guy a $500 bonus yesterday for one job, and I gave another guy a $250 bonus for one job. Like those guys, you know, because they came and dominated. So if you can make me more money, I have more money to give to you. So it's really that simple. It really is. But establish a trend, and that's going to be the hard part. That takes sacrifice. Understand the mission. Sometimes that takes humility, because there's going to be a lot of times where you were wrong and you're going the wrong direction and don't realize it, and you need someone to tell you. And you know, so like understanding the mission, that's asking for metrics, seeing what you can do to be more effective, to be more efficient, to be better, and actually applying that. And then the third thing is nut up. Don't be afraid to ask for it, because no one's going to hand it to you. You can do this shit and just sit here and wait and wait and wait, and no one's going to give you a raise. No one's just going to come in and hand it to you. You got to come in and ask for it. And then once you ask for it, you show them that they were right to give it to you. You go out and you bust your ass twice as hard, and then we start establishing a trend again. We start making the company more money, and now it's time for us to make more money. So, I don't know, maybe this stuff is pretty obvious and I didn't need to make this video, but I've had some buddies who've talked to me in the past about when they were negotiating raises, and I really do have a knack for it. And it's partly because I have a confrontational personality, and I love to, like, you know, like if you're telling me I'm wrong, I'll prove you wrong, fucker. So I don't know how long this video is because there's a break in the middle, so I hope it wasn't too long.